Good afternoon, everybody. I'm your host, Crystal, and this is another edition of the 9 o'clock Meltdown podcast. And on the phone, I have the beautiful and extremely talented, the one and only Rachael Kilgour. Hello.
Hi. Hi. Thanks for the intro. Wow.
Of course. I mean every word. Rachael, I've been a huge fan of you for many, many years now, and I am over the moon that you agreed to do an interview with me. This is a blessing and a half, so thank you so much.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for asking.
Of course. And now you just came out with an album. It's been getting pretty heavy plays. I've seen a lot on Instagram and stuff like that. How did that one come about? I know we were kind of coming out of the pandemic still. It's been about 3 years, but, people are still pretty wary. How did that album come about? Was it just time for another one, or?
Oh, I tend to work pretty thematically. Sure, it's always time for another one. I mean, this is like the music industry, and I don't tend to follow those timelines very well. So yeah, it had been a while, but I had just naturally kind of collected a bunch of songs about my father who passed away about 6 years ago. And so it's kind of a slow process of just letting go of him and holding on to him and trying to kind of wrap up his life in the way that I knew how through songwriting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the album artwork is absolutely fabulous. You have an older picture of what do I assume to be a child you holding your father's hand, and then adult you standing next to the two of them. It looks absolutely fabulous and kind of encapsulates the album, I feel. Was that kind of your artistic choice, or did you reach out to somebody?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think, it was an idea that I had. I wanted to use that picture in some way, or like do some kind of ghost dad in the photo. So we played around with a few different ideas. But yeah, I'm really happy with it.
Yeah, it's absolutely wonderful. And now, Rachael, I follow you pretty heavily on Instagram, and you do post quite a bit about shows coming up. You've posted quite a bit about this album. What's kind of in the docket for you? I know right now we're kind of in the throes of winter, but do you have a tour coming up? Are you still playing shows regularly in the winter, or do you kind of take it off?
I am for December just hanging out back in Duluth at home, spending some time with family. So I've got a little Christmas show coming up. I don't know when this airs, but I'll do my annual Christmas show. But otherwise, I'm just living life and being with the people that I love. And then come January, I'll be touring again and playing a festival in Florida. And then I got a little run of shows in Colorado. And I plan to be touring pretty heavily with this record in the new year. So, but I had a great run. It came out on September 22nd, and I did a nice little run through Ontario, which is my dad's home province, and it was kind of nice to bring him back home and sing about him.
Fabulous. Absolutely wonderful. And now, Rachael, for some reason, I thought you were a transplant in Duluth, like myself, but no, you're a native Duluthian.
I am. Yeah. Yep. I am. I was not only that. I mean, my mom was from here. Her parents were from here. We've been in Duluth for a long while. But my dad's side of the family is Canadian. So yeah, I am definitely a native of Duluth, but also I'm a dual citizen. So that's fun.
Very cool. So if anything gets too hot down here, you can just run to Canada and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you got a little giggle out of that. That was a joke.
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, I get a lot of marriage proposals and such trying to get out of the country.
Oh, geez. Oh, no.
Yeah. A lot of people want to run away. Well, we have some work to do. I prefer to stick around most of the time, but I do like spending time in Canada too.
Oh, right on. Excellent. And now, Rachael, how did your kind of musicianship really start? I know Duluth has a pretty big pull for musicianship here and kind of that folky guitarist kind of vibe, which you groove to quite elegantly. Was that just kind of a necessity out of being from Duluth, or did somebody kind of put the guitar in your hands?
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I don't associate it with being from Duluth, but Who put a guitar in my? I was a violinist when I was young.
Mhm.
I really benefited from the magnet school program of the '90s, and they're trying to kind of, I think it was a desegregation effort in the first place, but there were like science magnets and language magnets, and I went the school next to my house was a music magnet.
Mm.
So I benefited from a lot of music education. I got choir classes and piano classes and violin instruction and orchestra and small ensemble orchestra and just like all these different ways of expressing myself musically, and really enjoyed that and did well with it. And it wasn't, I think it's like in the middle of high school that I picked up a guitar for the first time and taught myself other people's songs. And then I think it was in college that I started writing some of my own stuff. And I found it really liberating. I was very quiet. I don't, had some social anxiety, and I just like never knew exactly how to express myself. And it felt really relieving to have the time to use language to really say what I meant, and then to have people's attention and have them receive it and feel seen by it. I felt like it was like a very new experience for me as someone who just maybe struggled with social interaction at that time. I hope I've gotten better at it. but the songwriting was really helpful for me as a young adult, and I think I just really I loved it so much, and I threw myself into it, and I think it's remained that, not necessarily just like a hobby or something I do for fun, but something that I really rely on to work through things and to be able to express myself in the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a really interesting story. Rachel, this is kind of the first time that we're speaking really in depth. I mean, you and I have met off and on for many years now, but kind of really in depth. I would have thought that you were a musician from way back when, but no, it kind of really clicked in college for you. I mean, looking back in your college days, was that an idea that you were entertaining back then? Is maybe I could go be a musician and tour?
Oh no. Well, I definitely come from a family, like my dad was a contractor, which I sing about in the record. And we were very like working class and like service oriented people, I think. Like my dad worked really hard and he helped out people and he had great relationships with the folks he worked for, but he also wasn't like out to make bank. And my mom did a lot of volunteering, and my brother became extremely socially active at a young age. And so I figured, like basically the only acceptable option is become a social worker or something. But I did go to school for music education. So I was studying the violin and plans to become a music educator. And about midway through my college career, I started writing my own songs and performing them. And that experience of like kind of that full circle of like, not only did I write this thing that means something to me, and felt relieving to get out of me, but then to perform it to people and have that kind of reception, I just felt like immediately committed to like, oh, I think I'm supposed to do this, and I don't know how to do it, and I don't know how I'm going to ever make money at it. We're still figuring it out, but it felt really clear. And I think it felt like very much like a calling, and I had a lot of intuition that I was supposed to follow it, which is kind of a foreign concept to me. I don't tend to move through the world like that, and I don't tend to put a lot of focus on myself. It's like it's always felt a little almost uncomfortable that I have this thing that I'm drawn to that I feel I need to do, but I don't have the framework for it. I have people who are artistic in my family, I don't have anybody who's modeled artistry as a career, or it just feels risky, and it feels self-involved sometimes. And there's just like, am I giving back enough to the world? There's lots of big questions around it.
Yes, definitely. And, to kind of bring it back to what you said a little earlier, that it's something that you're drawn to. It's something that needs to happen. I think the late, great Sinead O'Connor said it best. She said it's a pull. It's something that you have to do. Otherwise, if you don't, you'll explode.
Yeah.
So yes.
Like, I was actually just listening to her right before we talked.
Oh, yes. Wonderful. I actually, not to take a tangent here, but last Thursday, I actually got a Sinead O'Connor tattoo.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Yes. I fell in love with her in high school, actually, and listened to all of her records. Yeah, she was just very, very active. And an
Yeah.
inspiration.
Yeah, she loves making it. That's true.
Yes, yes. But let's jump off of the Sinead O'Connor bandwagon here. We might be able to fill a whole hour. I don't know.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So, Rachel, you said that you picked up a guitar in high school and kind of really got into songwriting in college. How were those early days of performing for you? You kind of alluded that it was actually kind of nerve-wracking, but also a relief in the same way. Did you ever want to put out an album, or were you kind of doing the open mic scene and kind of seeing how things went?
Oh, when I first started, part of the reason I really started to conceive of it as a like a career choice was that I worked at a summer camp in the middle, maybe after my first year of college. I started at the summer camp, and I worked for the camp director, who happened to be married to Katie Curtis, who's a folk singer songwriter. And I was familiar with her work, and so it was really exciting to I lived with them and I helped take care of their kids, especially when she was on tour. And I kind of got to see that breakdown of what that looks like to make a career out of that, to watch her writing, but also packing for the tour. And then she brought me with on a couple shows, and I played the violin with her and learned how to write a set list and how to talk with people at the merch table and all these different things that, yeah, it was nice to see that. I think that was the thing that kind of clicked in my brain, oh, this is actually a choice, of a thing that a person could do with one's life. And so I came home and I decided not to continue with school. I decided I want to do that. And I was just doing very local, open mics and opening for people at Beaners, or now Wisso's Cafe. But and then and then I got married. It was everything just kind of tumbled into place. My life decisions seemingly happened without much thought. I quit school, I think, when I was 21, and I was engaged to be married at 22, and step parenting a young kid, and really enjoying that, and kind of thriving in I think, again, my family was really grounded and family oriented and community oriented. And so it made sense, even though I was very young and I wasn't quite sure what was going on, and I had some growing up to do before I had made that choice. Now, looking back, I think I was really drawn to that role, and I loved and felt very challenged by parenting. And so I continued songwriting through those. We were together for most of my 20s, and I was doing some songwriting, and I was mostly playing regionally, a lot in Duluth, but northern Minnesota and Wisconsin mostly. I didn't really go on tour. It was at that point, it was a side thing that I was doing, and mostly I was helping support the child rearing and the business. And so, yeah, then when I got divorced, and I hadn't expected the divorce, and it really threw me off, and a lot of songwriting came out of it. And also just this sense of I had assumed that this life was shared and that I had agency in it. And suddenly it's gone, and none of it was mine except for my music. The only thing that was ever mine was my music. And I kind of, that and the relationship, whether, and of course there were tenuous times, but the relationship that I continued to foster with my stepdaughter, the music was the place that I could put myself at that moment. And so I really jumped fully back into it at that point. So I was about 30 at that point, and yeah, feeling sad, but feeling kind of determined to become myself and shine my light. And yeah, and then at that point I started touring nationally and going to conferences and just making connections, and made that record Rabbit in the Road that came out. And that was really a turning point, I think, to me fully stepping into this as a career. And that was, I don't know, about 8 years ago. No?
Yeah, yes.
8 years ago, I think is when, is that right? 7 or 8 years ago that I put out Rabbit in the Road. So that was, I guess, the starting place of me just really even though I've been songwriting a lot longer than that, this is the moment where I kind of was this is what I'm doing with my life.
Yes, because I remember when that album, was it that album or a different one? Anyway, I remember getting that album, from you in the KUWS studio, and then Mike Simonson talking to you about it, the late great Mike Simonson talking to you about it. And I remember listening to that album over and over and over again. It was just very poignant, and like I could feel your emotions in it, and it just kind of, it spoke to me on a different level. But to kind of divulge from that, your stepdaughter is actually a musician as well.
Yeah, she is. Killing it. Yeah, it's been really fun to see her. She's always really loved music. She played piano when she was young and wrote her own very sweet songs, for the cat or whatever when she was young. And she and Jesse, who Embalming Eva, the band that they're in, have been playing. I'm sure she's shared, have been playing music together since they were kids. So it's very fun to see this adult version where they're just really embodying themselves and making what they want to make and kind of directing their lives and their artistic output in a way that is, I'm very proud of them.
Yes, I would classify Embalming Eva.
It's Embalming Eva, yeah.
Okay. Whoops. They're not here. It's okay. But I would classify it as goth chic.
Oh, okay.
Or maybe goth chic. I don't know. It's they both have very, very interesting personal expression, and it's really cool. And that kind of almost personal expression goes into their music in a way. And they both have these beautiful, almost haunting voices. Would you say that you had some input or some gravitas into Galilee's musicianship?
Oh my gosh, I'm not going to take credit for any of it, but I hope that knowing that you can go on the stage and sing, like watching me do it, helped her feel like that was an option. Sure, I hope so. Or just like a love of putting words together with music, or I don't know. I won't deny. Of course, we have influence on the children who hang out with us when they're little, and I'm sure she has little bits of me she carries around. But she's also always very much been her.
Yeah, I enjoy Galilee. She's a wonderful hairstylist and an amazing musician. And one day I hope to have her and Jess on the show. I've been bugging him about it, so we'll see. Yes, wonderful. So Rachel, you're going to take the rest of December off. January, you've got a festival coming up, and then you're going to kind of hit the road with a tour. And good for you for getting down to Florida in the middle of January.
Oh my God. I know. Yeah, it's a 30-day songwriter festival. It's kind of a cool festival that just is exclusively solo songwriters. So it's really focused on that art form, which is kind of fun. But yeah, actually, I've never been to Florida, and I thought I might go a whole life long without doing it, but here we go. I got an invite, and I'm headed there. So,
all right. Well, you're gonna like it. There's lots of sun, lots of gators, and some old people.
Okay, perfect. That sounds great.
No, don't worry. There's plenty of young people too. I'm being facetious at this point, but. So, Rachel, kind of being that solo singer-songwriter, was that kind of the route that you wanted to go? I mean, is it just for ease of everything, really? Or have you ever wanted to put a band together?
No. No, I really haven't. I love what happens in the studio when it happens well. This last record, I just feels very, I feel very proud of it and how it turned out. And I don't have the imagination, or my imagination does not conceive of production options and sound as much as it does storyline and emotion. And so every time I head into a studio, I feel like, where do I start? How do I bring this to life in a 3D way like you can in the studio? And this time was just, I've had a phenomenal time in the studio with just fantastic musicians, and Rose Cousins produced it, who's just a really talented artist, songwriter herself, but also talented at bringing people together and collaborating in that way. And I feel like she really had an ear for the songs and the way that I hear them, the way that what I'm trying to make. And I feel like she did a really great job of orchestrating the arrangements around that, and so that this storyline came through. And I'll say that I love that. I love listening back to the record. And when I'm on stage as a whole, I really prefer to be alone. I like it to feel kind of like a poetry reading, because I think that we bring different kinds of attention to a performance depending on what it is, and it's like such a beautiful thing to lose yourself in the sound of a band playing, or even like to go out to like a dance band, like be with your friends and be socializing and drinking and dancing, or there's just so many reasons you might go and see a thing. And when I do the thing that I do, it feels like singing feels like akin to crying or laughing to me. It feels like this is just this like very emotional expression of this poem that I'm about to read you. And you need to really give it your full attention. And you can't be distracted by the cues that I'm giving the guitarist. And you can't be distracted by like how great it sounds and you can't really hear my lyrics. Like it's really important to me that we're all on the same beat following the storyline of what's about to happen. And it's important that I can lose myself in the song. So I actually really prefer it. And I think it's funny because we do tend to assume that a person achieves success when they're you're on a bigger stage and you've got a band backing you up. But I feel like the height of success that I aim for is to play in a packed but just like very intimate space where everyone can like be there with me, and I can like express myself through these like song poems very well, and not have to be like something that I'm not, or not have to like make it fancier so that people take it seriously.
Yes, I fully understand. And that's beautiful, Rachel. That's absolutely wonderful to hear. I think you and I kind of gravitate that same direction. When I was younger, would I love to go to concerts, at First Avenue and, at the Main and in all these places? Yeah, sure. When you're younger, definitely. But, I mean, I think where we first met, we met when Amazing Grace was still around. And I think I ran sound for you a couple times there.
Yeah.
And yeah, I like the intimate space even more. Like, I can almost pretend that, you're giving me a private show and I'm here with just a couple people. Granted, I'm back in the sound booth, but
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
nice.
I think it's really about how to invite an audience to fully give their attention to something. And I think for instance, I really don't like playing outdoor festivals. I love being outdoors, but if I'm going to do the thing that I'm going to do, it like requires some kind of container to hold the intimacy so that people feel like I'm here and like I'm not talking to my neighbor. And I'm really here in order to like receive this thing and then reflect on it and feel how it like opens me up in a new way, or like what does it bring up in my own life. It's not because I'm like, you have to pay attention to me because I'm so important. It's more like I'm on stage revealing myself to you, and that is an opportunity for you to like do some searching inside of yourself, and for all of us to feel less alone in the world. And isn't that beautiful? But it's like, it's not just, this isn't about checking out. It's really about checking in with yourself and with me, and we're all like in this communal space together.
Yeah, it sounds like there's a connection there, or you want people to connect to something deeper.
Yeah.
That's fabulous. That's absolutely beautiful. I think if I could coin a sentence for artistry and musicianship, that would be it.
Yeah, right.
So now everybody needs to pay attention, because it's about that connection. It's about bringing something to life. I mean, I know myself, and with theater and things like that, it's a team effort, yes, but you're putting these words that are just words on a page and you're bringing them to life, and you're entertaining people, but you're also forming connections as well, which I think is such a fabulous thing. And I can attest to the same thing you're saying. It's fulfillment in a different way, but it's definitely fulfillment. Rachel, that's absolutely beautiful and philosophical too. Maybe you should write a philosophy book.
Maybe. We'll see.
But write the book, but then make a CD to go with it. So
Yeah.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Rachael Kilgour, everyone. Rachael, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to talk with me and the wider world about your art, your musicianship, your philosophy on life. You are absolutely a gem and a wonderful person to know, and I am so glad I get to call you a friend. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, fabulous. Have a great day.
Yeah, you too. Thanks, Rachael.
Yeah, bye.
Name your faith and hold you tight. We all know how this ends. We all claim to be right. But will a myth save your soul? Do you have one to begin with? How can you be sure? I sit quiet and still with the ghost of my father until it is clear why he's dead and I'm here. But where is he exactly? What's beyond, no one knows, but the ghost of my father, the ghost. Are our fates predetermined? Am I acting a part of the burden of consciousness, the break of the heart? And tell me what makes a life worth living or ending at the edge of the night. I sit quiet and still with the ghost of my father until it is clear why he's dead and I'm here. But where is he exactly? What's beyond, no one knows, but the ghost of our fathers, the ghost surely knows. Well, I am pointlessly searching. Won't someone assure me? Will my efforts be wasted? My existence erased in my ragged last breath? Oh, look at me, death. Look me straight in the eye. What does a dying man owe us? Should he wear a brave face? Make the leaving look easy? Surrender with grace? But you were frightened and small when the tether gave way. And I have not forgotten, though I am not the same. I I sat quiet and still with the ghost of my father, hoping he'll make it clear